All right, good day, everyone. I am Mike McCammon. I'm the Executive Director of the NFC Forum. I hope you're having a good day. We are going to give everyone a few more moments to jump in. It's currently 3 past the hour, according to my clock. We will be starting in about 2 minutes. So we're just going to hold tight for everyone to join the call. Very exciting. We've had over 300 people register for this webinar, and we're very excited to present this panel moderated by Dinesh on wireless charging. Again, we're going to give everyone about 1 more minute, so please hold. Again, if you're just joining us, my name is Mike McCammon. I'm the Executive Director of the NFC Forum. We'll be starting the webinar actually now. Again, I'd like to welcome everyone to today's panel. A couple quick housekeeping items. Quickly, you'll see when you log in, the control panel does show up on your screen. You are defaulted to mute. There is a questions panel if you'd like to ask a question or have a comment. Myself and Bob Olson from the NFC Forum will be moderating those questions and passing them on to Dinesh in the panel. So please use that as a way to interact with the session. Next slide, please. This is me. You've already seen me. Let's go to the next slide. So this will be our panel, and I'll be introducing them here in just I'll be passing this on to Dinesh here in just a moment. But these are the individuals that we participate in our panel. As you can see on your screen, we have Michael Stark, Dinesh Kithany, Tim, Key, TJ, Alessandro, Merrick, and Peter. A very nice broad spectrum of different stakeholders and players in the NFC marketplace. And we're really excited for this panel coming up. So let's go on to the next slide, and I'll get through my slides real quickly so we can get to the panel. So real quickly, I'm going to talk quickly about the NFC Forum. Then we'll have almost 90 minutes for our webinar. And then the final item will just be some closing remarks by me. So next slide, please. Next slide. So if you're unfamiliar with the NFC Forum, this organization is an advocate for the contactless lifestyle. Our organization has over 300 member organizations that encompass some of the most familiar global technology consumer companies around the world. We actively collaborate with about several dozen adjacent technical bodies, and our goal is to really just deliver technology that enables the transport, the payment, digital key packaging, and automotive industries. And you can see our promoter companies listed there as well: Apple, Google, Huawei, Identiv, Infineon, NXP, Qualcomm, Sony, and ST. Next slide, please. If you're unfamiliar with the technology, NFC obviously is a very broad category of technologies. We have a fairly specific version of that, primarily as that technology intersects with mobile handsets as kind of our sweet spot. The NFC near-field communications is a standards-based short-range wireless technology. It is designed to make life easier and more convenient while also being quite secure. It does have a range of 2 centimeters, and you can share power across those connections. And what you'll see more and more, not just in the wireless charging category, but with door locks, apparel items, even now with prescription bottles, posters, handsets, you'll see NFC is finding its way into most everything. It's a really exciting time for the technology, and wireless charging, we think, is going to also help us grow the marketplace. Next slide. Now, one thing I do want to quickly do is we'll talk quickly about how pervasive the technology is. I don't want to spend much time on this, but every other year, the NFC Forum sponsors a research study with ABI to basically look at the adoption of the technology across 9 different countries in the developing world, I should say in the developed economies of the world. You can actually download this white paper from our website. You just go to the main website and go to Learn and White Papers. You can find it there. But some of the key findings that are important for people that are looking at the technology is to know that 85% of customers that we did survey use the technology. The primary use case, by the way, is payment and mobile transport, and also a key driver for contactless use. We are seeing the importance of tapping in the consumer and also unlocking door category. And the most interesting statistic I thought from the study, apart from the adoption that of course was assisted by the pandemic, and the fact that people were more conscious of what they touch in the physical world outside of their home, is that nearly half of people surveyed said they prefer using their mobile phone or smartwatch over a contactless card for payment. We think that this particular trend is going to continue to grow and is actually going to be another key reason why NFC technology built into lots of products will be important, because people want to do that instead of using their contactless cards. And so the phone and their wearables become the center of their use case. Next slide. I promise, I think this is the last one. The one thing that I do want to just real quickly, and I know Dinesh and the panel will talk about this, but I do want to really quickly position where NFC wireless charging fits kind of in the mobile wireless power space. There are two, I would say, high volume, standards-based, complementary standards out there for wireless charging, but they are for different use cases. So the wireless charging that most of us are most familiar with is the Qi wireless charging, which is from the Wireless Power Consortium. This technology is a 5 to 15 watt solution that we use for charging, for instance, our mobile phones is the most likely place to do this. But the NFC wireless charging is for lower power devices. So currently it's up to 1. We are in the process of expanding the specifications to take us out to 3, but currently it's only 1 watt of power. And it's really designed for personal and wearable devices. It does include the full NFC interface, so the data and the power side of it. And in the case of the Qi wireless charging, it can detect NFC cards and tags, but it's not in all devices that are sold kind of originally with that specification. And that is a really key point that I know we'll talk about as well during the panel. But what we want to make sure people understand is that these are complementary technologies for different uses. So NFC wireless charging is for personal and wearable devices, whereas the Qi wireless charging, and by the way, we have a lot of common members across these two trade groups, is really for devices more like mobile phones. Next slide, please. And with that, I want to turn it over to the panel discussion. I think Dinesh is going to take the next slide. Let's go to the next slide real quick. I think that's going to go to Dinesh's slides, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, yeah, that'll be it. So we'll switch over to the panel and we'll go on screen, and I'll let Dinesh take it from here, and I'll return in about 45, well, actually in about an hour or so. So everyone have a good panel, and I'm really interested to see how this is going to go. Dinesh?
Perfect, very much. Thank you very much, Mike, for this excellent introduction. In fact, yes, we have a very power-packed panel, as you all know, and as you all see here. We have Michael Stark from NXP, myself, Dinesh Kithany from Wired and Wireless Technologies. We have Tim Timothy from NuCurrent, TU from Infineon, TJ from Huawei, Alexandro from Panthronics, Marek from Zebra, and Peter from ST. Not only this, we also have some wonderful, great 300+ audiences who are also my guiding stars for today to shoot some right questions for this power pack panel here. So let's start. In fact, let's each of the panelists come on the screen, then I can start shooting my questions. I have already some good questions coming in and some pre-decided questions too. So yes, let's start with, in fact, again, we all are talking about NFC wireless charging. And again, I said, wireless charging industry is really growing very rapidly now. Earlier, it was only Qi to start with, but it's going beyond mobile phones to wider applications, being electric vehicles, e-bikes, e-scooters, medical devices, industrial IoT, everywhere. Wherever there's power, wherever there's cord, wireless power is the market for that. And this panel will, while we focus on NFC wireless charging, we will also touch base on other technologies for references, for collaborative purposes, or for interoperability purposes as well. So let me, before taking much time, let's start with asking the first question. In fact, my first question is targeted to the NFC Forum, and for that we have Michael to start with. The question for you, Michael, here is, there are many proprietary and standardized wireless power solutions in the market. And many, in fact, each of those solutions are using different frequencies. So from NFC Forum perspective, why NFC wireless charging, and how should NFC Forum try to basically position itself in this technology-driven sector? Over to you, Michael.
Hi, thanks, Dinesh. Yes, quite interesting question, yes. But I think today, if you want to ensure a use case using a certain technology where a lot of different players are involved, you need a reliable basis which ensures interoperability between the different providers and, of course, a future-proof involvement, right? And here, for me, the only means available to do that is standardization. Standardization on an international level, which ensures that a technology is worldwide interoperable. And here, in my point of view, NFC Forum is just the right place.
Perfect. And in fact, thanks for that answer here. And I can understand when NFC Forum launched NFC Charging in 2019, I think we had a very, very clear focus that it's a, and also like Mike mentioned earlier, it's a very focused technology with like up to 2 watts of wireless charging. Focuses on small battery powered devices. So yes, there's a very, very clear market setup for this. So on that grounds, I have a question for Alexandro now. Alexandro, compared to the proprietary implementations, what benefits does NFC Forum could bring to the devices developing NFC wireless charging?
Okay, hello Dinesh. So thanks for the question. I jump really I follow the explanation from Michael. So the main and the key point of NFC Forum is to guarantee interoperability between devices. So I would say this is the first and the main factor that will allow to use NFC Forum also for wireless charging. First of all, NFC Forum is well-established market in a different application, as you said, from access control to payment and also mobile phone. Adding on top wireless charging and the protocol that is already defined and stable by the NFC Forum will allow to use all the background of application that are already established, and on top enable charging of devices, as we said, mainly personal and wearables device that require the power target of NFC Forum. On top of that, I would say that the interoperability that NFC can have also, and the device can also have with a mobile phone, is a plus that can allow a lot of additional application also for these wearable devices.
Perfect. So basically what you're saying, there's a very clear-cut market segmentations here, and you're saying wearables is one of the key applications or one of the key potential applications which would have the possibility to adopt wireless charging. Is that correct, Alexandro?
That's correct. And on top of that, NFC Forum is also guaranteed that the interoperability between the device is also certified, right? So the main point is that it's not only a specification that the forum has put in place, but is an entire test on the background that is used for certification, and this allows and guarantee even more the interoperability between the devices.
Perfect. I think situations become easier when there is a solution provider, there's a technology, there's an application to go forward. But in fact, on this ground, I have a question from Tim. Tim, you're from NuCurrent, and NuCurrent works on wide range of wireless power technologies, very different types and all. So in case, what type of support does your company provide, or companies are providing, say, NuCurrent for basically? Why would they approach to you guys? And any particular aspects, example, whether it's something to do with design constraints, integrations, testing, and where does NFC charging fits in there?
Sure. Thanks, Dinesh, and thanks to the panel members for being here in the audience. NuCurrent was founded in Chicago about 10 years ago out of Northwestern. We were doing work with the organization on spinal stimulators for pain relief. At the time, they put wires into people's backs to charge and power those devices, and they wanted to remove the wires. So we designed the most efficient coils that were available at the time, and that started ourselves on this path. In 2015, we decided to commercialize this technology, and we had customers asking us to help them with systems design. So we built a staff of people. We call it our Center of Excellence, that have all of the domains that are necessary to deploy wireless power, and our customers ask us to help them from concept through mass production. So we're a little bit different. We've worked in G and air fuel and proprietary technologies with over 200 designs. And so we're probably most well known for the wireless power subsystems that we help deploy to UPS drivers worldwide. But we also designed the first reference design for the stylus. Stylus is, there's a standard for the stylus product called the Universal Stylus Consortium, and that group uses our technology based on NFC, and this standard is coming up, and so we're starting to see the standard there. So we're excited to help our customers deploy the technology in things like stylus or fitness devices, and excited to be here with you. Thanks, Dinesh.
Thanks, Tim. This was a bit more elaborative answer. So I will request everybody to just keep your answers to just 2 minutes, because we want to have so many questions out there. But on the same ground, Tim, I just have a question again on the response that you gave. So are you saying that the companies approach companies like you to say, give me wireless charging for a stylus, or they say, give me NFC charging for stylus? What approach, different approaches companies are using? A very brief answer on that, please.
Sure. Our customers have a wireless power vision. They would like to see it happen. And many companies, many giant companies, have experts on their staff who know how to do this. You know, wireless power is a combination of magnetics, power electronics, RF communications, industrial design, all the certifications that are necessary. We have the expertise to help customers bring their products to market, because we act as an extension of their R&D team to help them deploy it.
Perfect. Thanks for that, Tim. And that's very, I'm sure this is helpful for the panel and the audience out here. My next question, again, I want to twist the ground here from a consumers to the enterprise. So the question here is for Marek now. Marek, I know Zebra is much focused on the enterprise business in general, and say. So, and we see your company developing wireless charging solutions, and NFC charging is one of them. On that grounds, when do you see the broader adoption of NFC wireless charging in the enterprise class devices, in like mobile phones, mobile phones which are developed only for the enterprises? How do you see that being useful there? I'm sure you have some very good examples for us to share. Marek, I don't think we can hear you.
Yes, you should not hear me because I was mute, but I was talking already. So, enterprise mobile devices are a special breed of mobile devices. They have enhanced requirements from customers in NFC area. So we need to support really fast speed. The transaction needs to be fast. The transaction need to be reliable, and we transfer many data. Also, the power, from the power point of view, we need to charge quickly. The shift that we have big battery because we need to support 10 to 12 hour shifts. So using the current implementation for the wireless charging is not really suited yet for the enterprise mobile devices because of those requirements which I just mentioned. So we're looking for, at the minimum, 5 watts of the charging power, and we want to charge as fast as possible. So right now, the wireless charging is below 2.5 watts, we can get it. But as you know, once you tune your antenna, NFC antenna, for the wireless charging, then you're losing these capabilities for the data transfer. And for mobile devices, all our products are NFC capable devices. For the mobile devices, transferring the data, the speed is critical. We need to support all the technologies. We need to support all the cards. We even support now mobile devices like Apple Watch, Google Smart Tab. So at the moment, as a primary source of the power, wireless charging is not really suited for the mobile devices, for enterprise mobile devices, but could be used as a supplemental. For example, we have small battery which could be charged. Usually this small battery is charged from the main battery. This small battery supports the battery swap, so you don't lose the data when you swap the main battery, or you accidentally swap the main battery. But this this technology could be used as a supplemental. And the other thing which I would like to mention is that this technology actually has lots of advantages for us, for enterprise. First of all, simplify the design. I can use only one antenna, so for transfer the data, NFC data, and also charging. It's convenient to use. Everybody knows NFC. So, and I don't need to align as well with the wireless charging antenna, like I have to do this for the Qi charging. So the efficiency is a little bit less, 50%, around a little bit over 50%, not like Qi, which is 75 to 80%, but it's lots of advantages, and also the small coil. So it's much cheaper design and much faster design, and faster. We can deliver faster product to the market.
Okay, so Merrick, basically what you're trying to say, I think I'm getting two statements from here. One is that yes, NFC wireless charging complements other wireless charging solutions for the similar application, right? And second thing is, with NFC wireless charging, you can not only do wireless charging, but also use NFC for communication and data transfer. So it's more like a multi-functional technology built into NFC wireless charging, or the other way around, NFC communication. Is that correct?
Correct, and that's the advantages of this technology that we can use for the multiple purposes. So, like I said, design is simplified because you use one coil. Tuning is a little bit more complicated, but it's still, and it's much cheaper, and you can do multiple different functionality. The only drawback at the moment is just not enough power yet to really charge fast the battery for the enterprise mobile devices.
Okay, Merrick, we are jumping here. I know there's a question on the power. I'll come back to that in a moment.
Sure.
Because we want some elaboration on the power levels. You also talked about other aspects like market drivers and barriers. There's also something more for that. Tim, I know NuCurrent also works on the enterprise level, but I do not have time to ask you an extra question. I'll come back to you on that. My next question is, in fact, most of the companies out here are working on applications where many technologies can come in play. And there are many industry bodies, like we have Wireless Power Consortium, we have NFC Forum, we have Airfield Alliance, we have SAE, and many others, and many of them, there are many proprietary solutions. So my question now is again for the NFC Forum. For that, I'll target my question to Michael. Michael, how are the operations of NFC Forum different from the other industry bodies, like say WPC, because that also plays a bigger role in how you roll out the applications or the technology faster in the market there?
Yeah, thank you, Dinesh. That's an excellent question. I think you need a cooperative spirit in a consortium, which is seeing the opportunity. So different companies are seeing the same opportunity and have a cooperative spirit compared to a competitive spirit, right? And I think here at the NFC Forum is a unique place where you could drive this forward, always seeking for a certain use case the best technical solution using NFC technology, right? Here, NFC wireless charging, I think Marek touched it already, has really the huge benefit. It potentially can benefit from all the NFC solutions out there which are used for communication already, right? I'm not saying that all the solutions are fit for NFC wireless charging, but let's assume that in a couple of years, when phones are replaced, right, and are supporting it, that this has a huge multiplication factor for NFC wireless charging. And yes, I agree. We do not support at the moment to charge up to 5 watts, right? And I don't know if this is even feasible. And also, 5 watts are coming at a cost. If this is really then losing something on NFC side, right? For NFC wireless charging. But what I know, the big benefit is that potentially we can just integrate less components because we have one technology, NFC, which is serving multiple applications, and one of those applications is NFC wireless charging.
Yeah, I think that's a very good response here. And again, Michael, just to summarize your response, correct me if I'm wrong. So my reading is that NFC Forum, yes, it has worked on the best like NFC connectivity technology, which is being adopted in billions of devices. Again, the way in which you're developing this technology, it's not looking into this NFC charging just as a technology from a technology front, but also looking at it from an application perspective or from use case perspective. So that suppose you're doing NFC charging for mobile phones. So you're keeping the vision of how the mobile phone market will evolve in the coming years and what role NFC charging could play in that entire spectrum, rather than saying, yes, we have the technology and here you are. Is that correct, Michael?
Yeah. This is absolutely correct. Let me add something. So maybe, and this is my personal motivation, is in NFC Forum. It's about the ecosystem, right? To increase an existing use case ecosystem of NFC technology and enable new ecosystems, right? So meaning that we are looking not only in the use case, but we're also looking into simplifying life for consumers, right? For us, for society. And if we can achieve this one, naturally, people are using NFC technology, including NFC wireless charging, which is good for us, for the NFC Forum, good for everybody using it, right? That's the convenience factor.
Perfect. That's fine. I have a very different question here, and this one is for Key. Key, I know Infineon is very strong in NFC security IC market, as we all know. So will NFC join the NFC Forum business and offer some chipsets and all? I know could be a tricky questions, but yes, I thought maybe I'll just ask you. Because
yes.
Again, the question is more related to the security market application wise rather than a chipset wise.
Yes, so I think it's also not a tricky question. It's a simple question, and its answer is yes. And you know, Infineon has a good experience with also NFC. We are also strong in power. So basically, we combine all our expertise and we bring 4 integrated solutions to the market, and we even can call it a turnkey solution. And this solution will be very soon available in coming quarters. I think this is a good commitment to this technology from Infineon side. And I think the beauty from the NFC charging is actually it's not just charging, right? So basically, customer gets NFC solution, and you can use for charging. You can use the same interface to do payment. You can do the pairing. You can use this interface to do authentication. So basically, this is the beauty. So customer do one-time design with the solution, and then basically get all the functions. But of course, that to get all this function in one IC, in one solution is not so easy. And this is also where Infineon is working for. So we are trying to bring one solution which can fit all the needs which customer has.
Yeah, and the way I'm reading this is that a company who has a very strong ground, a very good strong ground in the security market like yourself, if they are considering NFC charging, then it looks like there's a very clear use case for such type of devices to adopt NFC wireless charging, right? I guess.
Yes, actually, we talk already with different customer. There's a clearly demand, for example, to integrate the payment function together with charging. So there are many use cases in wearable area. So customer is demanding for that.
Perfect. In fact, now let me ask one of my very passionate questions about NFC charging, or one of the passionate, I would not say very excited to hear how NFC charging can play a role in the mobile phone, because I think there's a lot of opportunities out there. So my next question is for Peter from ST. Peter, NFC charging also foresees charging of devices via smartphone. Do you see this becoming a reality? Because for me, this is a big ticket item for NFC charging. So can you elaborate on the phone aspect?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Dinesh. Yeah, so we definitely see smartphones becoming part of the overall NFC charging ecosystem. There's quite some interest from smartphone manufacturers. Yeah, and we are working together with them on their solutions, performing interoperability tests, defining applications, and so on. There's a lot of value to that. And for sure, we see value for NFC charging included in smartphones. And this is also why we think this will be part of next generation devices. And you see the big benefit here, and I think this was already mentioned before, is for smartphones being part of the NFC charging ecosystem. of course, after giving it some time to increase that adoption and so on. But in the end, there will be a very strong infrastructure rolled out to support this technology. We see it, for example, already today with the NFC technology as is, so without the current charging part. Most of today's smartphones have NFC inside, and this really brings a lot of value and convenience to the end user. And we see it in payment, we see it in access control, and so on. Still, what I would like to add is that smartphones will most likely not be the main means of charging devices. NFC charging relies very much on a good coupling between the charger and the receiver. This means you need to ensure that the alignment of the charging antennas need to be optimized in terms of size and positioning. And this could be tricky to achieve if you put different kinds of devices on your smartphone antenna. But cutting it short, for backup and emergency charging, so really being on the go, running out of battery for earbuds or your stylus, putting just those devices on top of your smartphone and charge it as a backup. For sure, we see this as an option, and yeah, hopefully becoming a reality.
Okay, fine. In fact, my research says that one of the biggest barriers of adoption of wireless power into many of the application is the chicken and egg situation, wherein we do not know, or the OEMs do not know, or the accessory market players do not know whether whether any wireless charging will first come in the receiver or in the transmitter. We may have receivers, but nobody doing transmitters, or vice versa. So that situation is there for most of the applications, for most of the technologies. But with phone becoming one of the transmitters of NFC charging, do you think we have solved that problem to a certain level? Because there are already more than 1 billion smartphones with has wireless charging now, and integrating NFC charging and making them as a transmitter could be a high ticket items. Very briefly, what's your answer on that, Peter, or maybe someone else can also answer, raising their hand.
Maybe just real quick. As you already said, smartphone manufacturers would be the main driver for that. And you know, a lot of different companies are not offering smartphones alone, but on top of that, also various kinds of accessories. So I see that that those manufacturers would take a common approach and implement NFC wireless charging on both sides. So already in the smartphone, but as well on accessory side inside their own ecosystem.
Yeah, and I don't want companies to reveal any plans here on this webinar. Good if they can. But do you think by 2024 we'll have a phone with the NFC TX in that? What do you see?
This remains to be seen. As I said, we are already working together with interested companies, but of course we cannot further or share further details here. Yeah.
No worries. Let's move to the next question here. Alexander, this question is for you. Obviously, we are talking about wearables as becoming one of the big ticket items or one of the big application markets or potential markets for wireless charging. So for those wearables, what are the most important factors that will allow to increase adoption in NFC and adoption of NFC wireless charging in these markets? You know, how does NFC play a role with regards to providing benefits from a synergy with the other NFC technologies like communication and data transfer there? Alexander, for you.
Yeah, thanks, Dinesh, for the question. So as you said, looking from the application point of view, the wearable is the main target application for the power level we said, just on the NFC Forum wireless charging. And normally the wearable has some constraint in terms of size, basically, right? TWS, smart ring, and a lot of different devices out there are, let's say, has a limited space in terms of BOM area where you can also fit and where it can fit even a wireless charging solution. So what we have seen so far is that one of the main blocking factor to adopt NFC wireless charging into this device is exactly this, is the integration difficulties due to the multiple components, so we can call discrete solution, that especially on the receiver side are needed to guarantee this communication and charging at the same time. So that is the main and let's say the main factor. And this, of course, this discrete solution, not only from a BOM cost point of view and let's say a floor plan point of view, but also from integration on the software side, can be very challenging. And that's why I think, and it's also what we are doing in Panthronics, we try to simplify the complete system and the chain, right? On the transmitter side, but mainly also on the receiver side. What does it mean? It means that we are simplifying means integration, first of all, so that the solution like SmartString can really have a proper fit with the components that is solving the complete function of charging, and also on top to avoid to have any difficulties at the customer side to integrate the solution on the software level. So most of these applications are coming from, let's say, even if they know NFC, they are maybe not expert on this field, and they just want to have a kind of turnkey solution, just to place it there and it should work. And this is what we are doing in Panthronics, and this is what we have also as the product launched recently. So this is our main target for this market.
Perfect. No issue with that. In fact, Alexander, what you have well mentioned about the approach that companies will be taking, or one of the, I would not say the challenges here, but this brings me to a very important question. Again, for this question, I'm opening it to anybody on the panel here. So considering that the billions of install base of NFC technology is there already, in the market there, though it may sound easier to adopt NFC wireless charging or to upgrade the technology to that level, what do you all think are the two biggest challenges or the barriers towards adoption of NFC wireless charging in already those install base? I just want very brief 2 or 3 words responses from 2 or 3 of you guys. What are the two biggest challenges? Anybody can start here first. Anybody wants to raise their hand and say 2 biggest challenges here? Or I'll pick up someone.
So maybe I can add, since I'm unmuted already, I can continue here. So one of the main challenges would be the already established infrastructure that is out in the field. So these, in some conditions, need to be updated in order to support, first of all, the protocol of the NFC charging, and second, also the power level that needs to be granted, right? It's not only normally NFC is based for communication. In the NFC wireless charging, you need also to regulate the power based on the needs of the target device. And this is one of the main challenges to update or upgrade the infrastructure. This is coming also together connected to the previous question you had on the mobile phone. Mobile phone is an infrastructure. Yes, it can be upgraded to wireless charging. I also feel like Peter that this is not the main the main application for a mobile phone to charge something, but it could be that you can use a safety charging. So it means that if the device, if your wearable is running out of battery and you need this device, you can still use your mobile phone, even with a low coupling, but in a safety mode, this can be a useful solution for you.
Okay, fair enough. It sounds simpler, but
Dinesh, can I add something?
Yes, please, Tim. Yeah.
Sure, Dinesh. One of the ways, it's interesting because if we look at the Qi charging for phones, that technology has generally been commoditized, simpler to develop. People have reference designs that they can look at. With NFC, it's a new technology and it's just coming up this curve. And so as customers are trying to work on the technology, the traditional reference design solution doesn't work exactly as customers would like. And so they're looking for help on how to get the design for the form factors that they have to meet the unique challenges of these small form factors, industrial design, and adding all the capabilities that NFC requires. And so for companies like us, we work with our colleagues here on the panel that are semiconductor vendors to build on top of their technologies, bring both our IP and our expertise to help customers get it to market. So we're excited about those applications that the panelists have talked about, and we see that happening as mobile phones start to pick up their capabilities in charging. Peripheral vendors, accessory vendors will start to deliver receivers, and there's a lot of demand in the marketplace for support and help to get these products to market. So we're excited about what 2023 will hold.
In fact, that's a nice approach on that. But just to add up on that, Tim, I think you and Alexander both are mentioning from the consumer application point of view. But again, my question is now to you, yourself, Tim, and even to Marek. How is it different from enterprise in the enterprise world? I know the use cases are different, the requirements are different. So what are the challenges out there? What is limiting NFC wireless charging in the enterprise space?
Yeah,
Tim,
I
you can
think
go first.
So
Merrick talked about it, and let me just make a quick comment, then I'll hand it back to Merrick. But deploying systems for enterprise, as I mentioned, we've deployed the worldwide wireless charging system for UPS, so we understand what's required in this space. But enterprise is a broad applications area. There are people who call themselves enterprise providers if they make headphones that are used, for example, for industrial applications. People who are using call centers and all of those things think about being enterprise applications, and those products are in development and ready to be deployed next year. They have to be more robust, they have to be well tested, they have to be functioning at the levels of demands that really hard users are using. Merrick's point about power, there's certainly challenges around higher power as we go up. We've experienced it and seen it in the marketplace with air fuel as an example. Getting up into the higher power, you have more EMI challenges, you have more thermal challenges, but we're still at the beginning of those. If you look at putting those, solving those problems with NFC and getting it to the consumer cost levels, that's a challenge. You can add mitigation capabilities to get you up to 5 watts, an example, but it still comes at a very high cost that might not be acceptable today. So we're all working to try and drive down those costs, invent things that will help customers with this application. As Michael said, we're not sure if we can get up to 5 watts, but as an example, we're deploying products today that are receiving 1.2 watts and higher in the future. So we're all working towards that capability.
Yeah, in fact, I think the questions are rounding around the power levels. Just a thought which came to a process. So are you saying that in the current scenario, the current NFC wireless charging solutions up to 2 watts or maximized 3 watts with some innovations can be well integrated, but when the demand increases to more than 2 or 3 watts, then maybe another technology come into play and say, yes, the situation has changed, scenario has changed. Now I want 3 to 4 watts. So let's shift from NFC charging to, say, example, Qi charging. Are we seeing like a hybrid type of solutions in the market, or a twin frequency solutions playing a role there? Anybody? I'm just saying, just a quick question. Very brief answer if I want, or I can move to the next one.
Dinesh, I still want to make one comment what Tim was saying, that the wireless charging is very attractive technology for the enterprise mobile devices, but it's not mature enough yet. Like Tim was mentioning, 5 watts. But look, a couple years ago, a few years back, we were at 100 milliwatts. Now we're 2.5 watts. Yeah. So you don't know that maybe next year, maybe in 2 years, we're going to have the technology mature enough that this could be part of the enterprise offerings. But remember, enterprise is special breed. We require some additional hard and robust solutions. Charging has to be fast, needs to be more watts, and NFC has to be really, really fast. So that's my additional comments, which I want to add on the top of Tim's.
Okay.
Yeah, I would just say, Dinesh, on your question, sorry about the switching as you go up in higher power. People select NFC because of its benefits, right? It has the benefits of X and Y movement, freedom of movement, multi-device charging. It has all of the benefits that come along with NFC, including the tap to pair, the security, all the other things that comes with it that you might not get by switching to another standard like a cheap product. You wouldn't get those same benefits. So there is a demand. There's this pull, drive higher power in NFC for the reasons, because we get all the other things that come along with it. We have to work as technology companies to overcome the challenges ahead of us. But certainly there's a place for all of the wireless power standards in the market, but they each have their own benefits. As in any engineering problem that comes up it's a demand of trade-offs, and you have to make the trade-offs with your product. What are you really looking for? And NFC offers tons of benefits for certain customer types.
Again, before I move on to my next question, again, a request to all the attendees, please keep on sending your questions. The questions are getting filtered and coming up to me. So don't stop that. Keep sending your questions here. Some very interesting questions on the way for you guys. My next question, since we are talking about complementing and competing technologies here, this question is for Peter from ST. Peter, some products are available on the market and they're promoting energy harvesting type of functionalities. So on those basis, what are the differences of that technology versus the NFC wireless charging? If you can put some highlight on that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So actually, energy harvesting is a broad term, and yes, also brought up in the context of NFC quite often. And yeah, basically, NFC is exactly based on this principle of harvesting energy from an RF field. So in an NFC setup, you usually have an NFC reader. The reader creates the RF field. And yeah, this can be a payment terminal or access control point or something like that. And now you're bringing in your banking card or your access card into this RF field, and the card uses the energy in that field to power itself and drive the communication. So this is basically energy harvesting. On top of that, except from just powering up a tag, you can of course also use the harvested energy to transfer energy beyond that point. So there are NFC tag products available in the market which have energy harvesting outputs. So this allows you to power up a small MCU or small sensors. And with that, yeah, you have the NFC communication, and on top of that, also energy harvesting. Now,
Peter,
NFC charging as
yeah.
Now NFC charging as discussed today. Sorry, NFC charging as discussed today uses the same principle, but extends just the scope of that idea. So the purpose is not only just powering a small tag, but really actively powering and charging a battery, meaning the reader creates a stronger field and the receiver needs to manage that kind of power. So in short, energy harvesting is basically the same principle as NFC charging, but with a different scope. So just using more energy to power actively batteries inside the receiver.
Yeah, Peter, this is very interesting actually, and in fact, I'm sure this could be one of the insightful statements for people out there, how NFC wireless charging can integrate or be in lines with the energy harvesting technology as well. And as we all know, energy harvesting is looked at on a very serious note from various aspects of the market there. So that's good. Again, on the same topic of energy harvesting, it reminds me about an application which Infineon has showcased. You had showcased, you have demonstrated a smart padlock, using energy harvesting technology, and it was using, even the mobile phone can be used as NFC charger. Can you elaborate on that, or maybe if you have a small something to showcase there?
Yeah. Yes, so maybe I just want to also bring the topic to the mobile phone ecosystem. So 3 months ago, so we released one IC which is designed for enable so-called passive lock application. So basically, user can use mobile phone, use NFC to charge into the lock, and the lock can be controlled with your mobile phone. So lock itself completely passive. And we also showed just 3 weeks ago in the electronic trade show, and a lot of customers are very, very interested, and they didn't believe that you can get so many power, you can operate your smart lock with your mobile phone. And I think when we come to the stage, get the NFC wireless charging, basically the solution can provide much more power compared to today's mobile phone. So if we can integrate this technology also into the mobile phone in future, that means mobile phone is just not doing the payment, just doing the communication, but the mobile phone NFC chip inside can also play a role as a polar device. Then will enable us a lot of use case, because today mobile phone is the only mobile device people every day is taking, right? So you don't need your key. What you take is always mobile phone. So there's a lot of chance will be open if we can go into that stage. And I think that that could be a topic for NFC Forum to look into this topic and to cooperate with Apple and Google, and especially on the mobile operation system, try to push them also to be convinced that we enable such kind of use case. Hello, Dinesh, come back to you.
Dinesh, you have to unmute yourself. Dinesh, you have to unmute yourself. We cannot hear you. Dinesh, can you hear me?
Yeah, it looks like Dinesh is having some technical difficulties, and he'll be joining us here in a moment. I'm gonna take a quick look at the questions. We don't have any posted questions yet, and I was following along. So this recent demonstration we've had with Infineon's powering up the lock, I think opens up some interesting possibilities. Would anybody else want to comment about those types of applications where, so for instance, when we think of wireless power, we think of, in the case of charging, we think of charging device, but there is some other potential opportunities I would think around using NFC to power a device, just very briefly for a brief moment to take an operation. Is there any other examples someone might want to jump in with real quick of examples where they think that might be a possibility for new products in the coming years? Does anyone want to take that?
Yes, so maybe I just maybe bring one big topic here. I mean, today's energy saving is also always a big topic, and for home appliance, for TV, for example, the big topic is standard by current. And actually, if the people in future, they have user experience, go to the TV and use your NFC to switch on, switch off your TVs, and basically you are possible to make a TV which is zero standby current, and you just go there with your mobile phone with NFC to switch on, switch off. So such kind of thing will have a positive contribution to the society. But of course, it requires a new user experience, right? So you need to go there, maybe hold your mobile phone for 1 second, 2 seconds, and this is completely new, and it takes time to get the people to be familiar with that and to start to use that kind of feature. But this is definitely something, for example, completely new and has positive effect to the society.
That's an interesting idea. Tim, you were nodding your head. Do you have anything top of mind that you'd like to add?
Yeah, I think, I mean, Chi was talking about the lock application, and certainly, we work in the Midwest part of the U.S., and so a lot of people here are building cabinets, desks, all of those things. And in the medical market, we see applications where people are using NFC to track medicines, to track deployments and things like that. And certainly in all of the carts and all of the medical distribution points, there also needs to be security and lock. So you take both the advantage of a locking solution and a deployment solution, for example, like NFC. This makes it a great application. The other one I think is, the potential for harvesting applications in sensor applications where you have a phone and you don't need a battery on a sensor device. So you might have a wearable that doesn't need to have a battery. You can use your mobile phone to power it, grab a sensor diagnostic, and then you don't ever have to remove it. So those are interesting applications that we see on the horizon.
I think there's some interesting applications in medical, like you say, is being able to power up something to be able to get some data. Real quickly, I do want to, hey, Dinesh, we can see you again. Can you do an audio test? I'm going to ask one question that's from the group. We cannot hear you.
Hello, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Let me go ahead and ask this one question that was posted by the audience while you get everything all settled there. One of the questions that came up, and I know this has been a topic that has been discussed at times within the NFC Forum, but the question from the audience was, how will this charging effort fit into the existing standards and the EU efforts to reduce waste in cable chargers? So obviously, most of us are aware of the recent announcement by the EU around standardization of plugs for wired charging. Does anyone have any thoughts in terms of how this could or could not or possibly play into those conversations around how government bodies are looking to reduce environmental waste and in particular as it relates to charging cables in particular. Michael, not to put you on the spot, but would you have any quick thoughts on this, Michael Stark?
Excellent question, right? I think, first of all, the waste, we don't have cables anymore when we are moving to a wireless charging technology, right? We don't need the connectors anymore, and that's the benefit. But the clear big advantage on top would come if we would not need to buy every time when we buy a new product, whatever it is, also a new charging unit coming with it, right? Which is optimized for this product to be charged, right? And this would be the greatest opportunity, because then we would save not only the cables, but also on top the entire charging unit, because there is a common charger which serves, I don't say all wireless charging technologies, but a broad product units, right? Various product, consumer electronics, for example, or pens, right? Whatever.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike, beyond the cable, we have customers who are demanding environmental solutions. They're looking for ways to solve the sustainability problems, and we're using this type of technology, for example, to build larger format transmitters that are efficient and offer that sustainability, because they don't use the same level of magnetic materials. And when you remove those magnetic materials, you know, it removes a lot of the issues that people are really concerned about. So on many fronts, companies are thinking about that, and we're working with some of the larger companies in the world to solve some sustainability problems.
That's great.
So Mike,
I'll
also,
just give.
I
Yeah,
have
go
something
ahead.
to add on that, if that's okay.
Go ahead. Merrick, were you
Yeah.
going to say something?
Yeah. In
also
fact,
the healthcare.
Just on the
Okay,
question.
go ahead, Dinesh.
Just on the question which you raised here, again, my response would be such that I know it may sound a bit marketing oriented or promotion of my reports, but like I said, Wired and Wireless Technology, my company, produces reports on wired technology, wired charging, as well as wireless charging. And most of my report goes to technology companies, semiconductor companies, and all. But I'm seeing a new breed of my customers coming in, and these are energy bodies, industry bodies, government bodies subscribing to my reports, just to understand how fast is wireless charging picking up, what are the efficiency levels there, should they keep on monitoring, keep a close watch on these things, so that they know it's good wireless charging is picking up, we'll have less cords and all. But on the other hand, how efficient are those, how it will impact in a broader way, if not now, 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line. So I think if I'm reading that question from a different perspective, I think from now onwards, it's being, I would say it's being very well monitored, in the sense that wireless charging is, because everybody knows it is going to pick up sooner or later. And so while we are doing that, and now that we are sitting with industry bodies here, like NFC Charging, NFC Forums and all, I think it will be very vital for any industry body to start looking into those aspects from now onwards, rather than 5 years or 10 years down the line, from the energy efficiency perspective, from wastage perspective, and how it will roll out as a more interoperable solution rather than any different one.
So
maybe
Merrick, you wanted to add something real quick?
Yeah, I want to add one more thing. The healthcare sector will be also affected very well in this sense, because they're looking to cover any cavities because of the viruses of the cleaning solutions. Yeah, the cleaning solutions very harsh most of the time. When we design our product, we need to design the special screen, special plastic, which can sustain those chemicals. So having no cables at all, that's the ideal situation for the healthcare.
That's great. All right, well, Dinesh, using our process, I'll give you the question on chat, but I'll let you continue on. So sorry about the technical difficulties. We'll turn it back over to Dinesh.
That's totally okay. I think somehow I got muted by the organizer, and it was difficult for me to unmute myself, but here I am back again. So my question again on the similar lines here is, again to Peter, I will do that question. So Peter, does NFC charging allow multiple device charging at the same, having the same charger for multiple devices at the same time? So Peter, anything on that?
Yeah, actually, I'm glad you asked that question. So charging multiple devices with one single charger is for sure interesting for many applications. I'm thinking here about earbuds or hearing aids, for example, where we have two devices which are simultaneously used. And yeah, you would only want to have one charger. And also looking at product manufacturers, of course, they would not want to put two charging products into one bigger charging base. Also talking about sustainability here. So the interest and the possible applications are definitely there. And the good news is that technically implementing such a multi-device charging platform is feasible. So it can definitely be done, but of course there are certain considerations which need to be taken into account as well. Just going a bit into the details, you need to check what kind of antenna design you can use. Also, the overall power budget needs to be respected. So bringing two devices into the same RF field, of course, means that you split up the power to a certain extent. Yeah. But yeah, as I said, this can be done. Sorry, Dinesh.
Yeah, no, Peter, my question, in fact, if I want to add more on this question, you were more talking about the same application being used, like a hearing aid left side and the right side on the same transmitter. But I'm thinking of a scenario where can I have the same TX, NFC TX, and I can charge a stylus pen on that, I can charge a wearable on that, can I charge a smartwatch, hearing aids, anything on that? Are we seeing that scenario coming out very faster than what we are seeing in the other wireless charging solutions, where we have different solutions for different devices?
I think if I understood your question correctly, if you look at the applications like stylus, hearing aid, earbuds, smartwatch, and so on, this is the idea of the NFC wireless charging standard. So having a standardization body which standardizes the way of charging devices is the main purpose. So really to enable charging bases to charge several different devices.
Okay, so you're saying that
Dinesh, you mentioned, it was mentioned before about the ecosystem and the ecosystem developing, and we were talking about as mobile phones come up. Peter's right. What we see, if we talk about that universal stylus initiative, where many companies are using NFC charging for stylus, they're looking for interoperability, but they're also thinking about, how do I charge beyond the stylus? Can I charge earbuds? Can I charge other things? So you can think about tablet, laptop, and Chromebook manufacturers thinking about building these chargers into their devices, and thinking about the future where you will want to charge more than just a stylus, as an example. This is part of the ecosystem development, and certainly something that's being considered.
Maybe Dinesh, also if I can jump on also this NFC Forum is also, as we say, defining specific antenna to target this use case, right? So there is new class of antenna, the class 7, that allows to have, let's say, solution for stylus, but also for other devices that can fit this size of the antenna. So this is the idea of NFC Forum, is to extend this capability. Of course, always considering that the target application need to have also the antenna that is fitting the size of the transmitter in order to have let's say, an efficiency that is usable for the device. We cannot hear you.
Yeah, I'm saying that's a very good answer on how we can look into interoperability of NFC charging, not only for one device but across multiple devices. Example, computing device and all the stuff there. On the same ground, again, we all not are talking about one-to-one applications wise here. So my next question is actually to Michael. Michael, I know you're there, but your video is off. But my question here is, again, it's more to you from NXP perspective than from NFC Forum perspective. Again, we know that NXP is one of the front runners in NFC charging from a standard perspective. So why did NXP invest so much into the development of NFC wireless charging standard? What was the motive behind that, or what are the vision behind that, if you can elaborate?
Okay, thank you, Dinesh. Yes, you know that NXP is having a quite big portfolio in NFC technology, from simple tags to secure smart cards readers, and also bringing NFC controller solutions for the mobile phone ecosystem, right? So we a big player. We are looking always for opportunities to increase an existing ecosystem or to create a new ecosystem. And this happens for us in 2017, where we are internally discussing how could we help society to improve user experience and life, right? And then we were talking to our customers and received this feedback that NFC wireless charging could be something they are interested in. So which brought us to the point where we developed a solution, and as you all know, we are really delivering a transmitter and receive solutions for NFC wireless charging. We shipped the first product early 2019 already. And what we learned there at the very beginning is if NFC wireless charging should be a success story, we have to standardize it in order for those customers to bring something which is backwards compatible and future proof. And of course, you have to provide something which can be implemented by many different solution providers and chip vendors, right? And if we do not provide this one, at the end, the whole technology and the whole ecosystem will not develop. And I'm very happy to see that in NFC Forum we achieved this. Obviously, yes, we as NXP, we were really driving this one to get the specification out, to get also the support for this small class 7 inside of the specification 2.0. And it was already mentioned, it is super important for us that we have a certification program which proves that we have interoperable solutions in the field. And here, I think we did not mention it today. We have here in the NFC Forum a certification program for NFC wireless charging enabled since early of April this year. So this is brand new, still brand new for a standardization body, right? And I really believe this will also be a key driver that consumer electronic products will implement NFC wireless charging.
Okay, perfect. I think that creates a good background about why are we where we are at the moment from NFC wireless charging perspective. So on that ground, again, a question for NFC Forum, this time not to Michael. Let me ask this question to DJ. DJ, could I understand that the NFC Forum would continue to develop the standard and advance the standard from a generation 1 now to generation 2, where we expecting high power levels and all. So when do you see the next generation standard or the specs will be out available for everybody to implement? DJ, maybe you can switch off your video and...
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, good. So we are developing NFC wireless charging towards the higher power. For example, that's already ongoing. We are going to from 1 to 3 watts at the moment, but then how it will develop from there remains to be seen. Then we are also in NFC Forum talking about the range of NFC radio, and we are extending that as well. So it might have some impact to how we are able to charge as well with NFC charging. So there are some developments ongoing that are supporting it.
So now that we have NFC Forum looking into the needs of the market and increasing the standard specs from 1 watt to 3 watts within 3 years of its launch, that's really good news. But now let's look into the technical aspect of that. So maybe a questions to maybe either Tim from NuCurrent or Alexander from Panthronics or even say Peter and all. So what do you think, you know, how are we tackling this technical challenge of output power and efficiency when we increase from a 1 watt to a 3 watts from NFC wireless charging perspective? Any you know, quick thinking on that? Looking into technical challenges here, because I'm sure you will be playing a bigger role in developing the standard along with TJ and the team out at NFC Forum.
So, I mean, go ahead. I can answer here. I can start the answer, then so the team can hand over to you. So the main challenge as you grow with in terms of power is the efficiency, of course. So you need to increase also the efficiency, not even keep the same efficiency, but increase, because simply you dissipate more power. And so this is the main challenge. As an NFC Forum and also as a Panthronics, of course, we are working on this in this direction. And the target is to fill the gap that is at the moment identified between Qi, so to have a solution below 5 watts and above 1 watt that can still fit the target use case of the application in terms of power dissipation and the constraint of efficiency. So NFC is a good technology for this, simply because it can solve the two main aspects. One, it could integrate the antenna in a very small form factor and still having support its power level and the communication, as we said before, right? And this is the main difference compared to the opposite side. If you want to go lower with a Qi solution by fitting this power level, the main concern here is again the size and the integration of the antenna and the missing communication parts. So I would say it depends really on the target application and the form factor of the application to select between the two technologies.
Tim, I'm sure you want to add something
to that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I'm saying, Tim, you want to add something on the technical challenges and how you're facing it.
Yeah, I think what I would just add is, you know, as I mentioned earlier, we're in the early days of working with this technology, and as we drive up to higher powers, we're facing EMI challenges, thermal challenges, all of those things. Happy to say that, you know, many companies are deploying NFC charging right now, and certainly with, for example, with the WAWT technologies that we deployed at 1.2 watts of received power, not transmitted power, 1.2 watts of received power, we were able to come over many of those thermal and EMI challenges that were required to get to production. We'll continue to do that, and we'll work with the NFC Forum to make sure, as we're thinking about driving those power levels up to 3 watts, how can we contribute to make that happen? And so we'll bring our expertise and capability to NFC Forum and NFC Forum customers to be able to achieve those targets.
Perfect. Thank you for confirming on that as well. And I think that was very important to understand the approach companies are taking to address the challenge of increasing from a 1 watt to 3 watts, because that's what many solution providers need there out there. So that's fun. In fact, I can see another question coming to me directly. In fact, that question relates to me because I'm the industry analyst. I'm doing research on this topic for nearly 6 years. So the question here is, which application or devices are expected to drive NFC wireless charging? Very good question, and in fact, this gives me an opportunity to mention that NFC wireless charging has already kicked off. We have already seen adoption of NFC wireless charging in smart glasses. Huawei was the first company to introduce NFC wireless charging in smart glasses. Then we have Microsoft adopting NFC wireless charging for its stylus. We saw Samsung introducing NFC wireless charging for its fitness tracker. We saw Woof introducing along with NuCurrent in one of their fitness trackers as well. So it's already there, it's already in. And the recent big development is the collaboration between the NFC Forum and the USI, Universal Stylus Initiative, to collaborate in such a way that most of the digital stylus pens are bound to adopt NFC wireless charging. So that way the market is already picked up. I'm already working with so many solution providers, technology companies, and even chip companies about what's happening or what is expected in the next 3 or 4 years time. Obviously, I cannot provide more details on that, but at least I can say is the entire bunch of variables are adopting wireless charging. Again, it's easier said than done. I'll try to give you some hints more, there's a big bunch of medical devices. Merek already mentioned about that. There are enterprises devices adopting NFC wireless charging. And at the same time, we are showing other applications like hearing aids also adopting wireless charging. So again, if you look into smart rings, fitness trackers, smart watches, I would say smart jewelry items, and many other proprietary solutions which are set to adopt wireless charging. So it's a big out there. In fact, my last research conducted in the month of October says that roughly around, I would say around 3 billion devices are expected to adopt NFC wireless charging in the next 6 to 7 years time. So that big is the market. You may think from other aspect that, oh, NFC charging, it's only up to 2 watts or 3 watts. It's not a big market, but let me correct you guys. There are billions of devices which fall under less than 5 watt segments. And for many of those, I'm not saying NFC wireless charging is the only solution, but it's a good chunk of that 6 billion devices to adopt NFC wireless charging out there. So it's not that the markets are not there. It's a big chunk of devices. In fact, I would say even the automotive in-cabin solutions are expected to add NFC wireless charging. Phone is one of my big ticket items, which I'm expecting within 2 or 3 years time to have NFC TX in that. And that will certainly open the big ticket item out there. Some of the people out there from the panel, I'm sure they will be coming up with a NFC TX in the phones within maybe maximum 2 years time. So that way I would say market is already there. It's already picked up well. It's all about, in fact, that's one of the reasons why I said, let's do this webinar to make people understand about where are we on NFC wireless charging, what is NFC wireless charging, and what is the vision out there. So that's more from me, from my side. I hope I was able to answer that more question, but if you have a little bit more elaboration on that, you can come and subscribe to my report. You'll get number by number by application wise on that. In fact, the next interesting question is again a very open question, possibly for any of you panelists out there. What is currently limiting the NFC wireless charging to a 5 watt application capabilities and still be good, reliable source of NFC communication? Anybody out there who can elaborate on that? What could be the current limiting factors for us to reach that 3 watts or 5 watts capabilities and still be, like I said, a reliable source of NFC communication here? Anybody out here who can answer that question? Maybe we can just pick one panelist who can answer that.
Michael Stark, I will try to cover it, our understanding on it. So the nice thing about NFC is you can design very cheap antennas, right? Printed antennas, which are capable of NFC communication. And the higher you go with your power level, the design of your NFC antennas will go into the direction of power coils, which comes at a totally different cost, right? So and this is, in my point of view, one item where we are losing some benefits of using NFC technology. Is it possible? Of course, I believe it will be possible, but yes, what is the price to be paid, right? Here on the antenna or coil design, I see one item which is impacting the adoption. You're mute now, Dinesh.
That makes sense, and possibly TG also tried to explain that we have to work step by step. Let's look into the next level of reaching out to a 3 watt solution and see how it goes from there, and then look into a 5 watts adoption. Again, working in tangent with, not tangent, I would say working in parallel with the NFC communication protocols as well there. Yeah. In fact, next question is again on the enterprise base and in the enterprise base environment here. Maybe Merek or Tim can answer that. The question here is, we understand you are working more in the enterprise space than the consumer space. Could you provide your experience on the use and relevance of NFC wireless charging in the enterprise-based environment? Which application, which use cases?
So maybe I start, Tim. So right at the moment, it's a little bit limited for the mobile devices. We discuss the reasons, but doesn't limit to for the IoT enterprise devices, and we're actually implementing some solutions at Zebra, which will be taking advantage of the wireless charging. It does not require more than 1.5 watts, so we still want to keep the communication. So because the advantages of this solution, that the solution going to be cheap, we're still going to have communication. It's not the advanced communication like ticketing, validation, or payment. So we don't need to really design the antenna and tune this for the communication rather. But this is one of the use cases which for the rather IoT devices, for some small communications, some devices with the small batteries which do not require fast charging. Mobile devices in our sector require quick charging, the big batteries, so this is not suited yet. Tim, you want to comment some more?
Sure. You know, I talked about it a little bit earlier. That in the classification of enterprise is different by customer. Some customers really believe that they build enterprise class solutions. Think about, you know, you see multiple people here on the call wearing headsets. There are people who use headsets all day long, and those suppliers sell them in an enterprise fashion. They run longer, they last longer, they're more robust, more hardened, and those types of people are building designs with NFC charging today. And so we'll start to see those come out in the new year, we believe. So I think it depends on when we say enterprise class. Merrick and I have had this discussion. Certainly we all know going up into that 5-watt power level for demanding applications that have a much larger battery, for those types of applications, we have a lot of technology hurdles to overcome. But there are things that, you know, you could think of that are classified as enterprise applications that do require more power, less power. And what we're finding is, because this technology is new, and Michael talked about why they developed, work with the organization to develop wireless charging, one of the things we're all here for is to let people know this capability is here. You can get robust technology. You can get the technology that offers the advantages of NFC plus charging or harvesting. Those harvesting applications we talked about are really interesting, not only when they come out with the phone, increased phone charging off of NFC, but with today's harvesting capability, really interesting applications. So I think we'll see, as people understand the technology more enterprise style applications coming up, and we'll continue to work on the higher power stuff.
Yeah. So Tim, are you hinting that like what's happening in the world of mobile phone charging, where proprietary-based solutions has taken over the industry standard-based solutions? So are you saying that the same thing will happen with NFC charging as well, wherein the NFC Forum is working on a 3-watt solution, which will come out hopefully within a year's time or so? There are companies out there, innovative companies like yourself and many others here, who are already working on a 5-watt solutions, or at least aiming for that level of power as well. Very brief answer. I don't want you guys to promote yourself, but still.
We know customers come to us to make their wireless power dreams come true. So we work with them. We work with our semiconductor partners. We look to drive the technology at its edge, at its limit. And so we're working to push it that way. But we do believe in standards. Customers want to have the strength of the standard it brings. And particularly when we start to see phones becoming transmitters, interoperability is going to become critical. And so we're very supportive of what happens within the NFC Forum, and we want to see those standards go and develop, and we'll continue to support them.
Perfect. I think we are nearly on the time, but I have a very important question to ask, and that's for the NFC Forum itself. Yeah. And the question here is, what are the plans of NFC Forum to increase the awareness, popularity, and adoption in NFC wireless charging in the Asian markets? Because we have seen most of the companies are based in the West, like US and Europe, but less focus is given to the Asia. So what's the plan here to increase the popularity in the Asian market, which is the biggest market, as we can all understand? So questions to the NFC Forum guys out here.
Hi, Dinesh. Let me comment on this question. So it is a true observation that the companies driving the NFC wireless charging technology in NFC Forum. We have Japan here and companies more or less located in US and European region. That's correct. But regarding the adoption of these technologies, we just have heard about Huawei and the Gentle Monster project, the glasses, right? They have been one of the first adopting this technology, or Samsung implementing it in their fitness tracker, right? So I think from an adoption point of view, the Asian brands are really closely following up what we are doing here. And if the technology is suitable and provides benefits for them, they are just implementing it.
Thank you, Michael. I started to talk and I didn't have my microphone unmuted. So we're actually kind of running out of time here. So first, very quickly, before I make any final last comments, would be basically to thank everyone on the panel, Tim, Peter, Alessandro, TJ, Merrick, Michael, and of course, Dinesh for organizing this and helping us kind of navigate the entire session. The one question we didn't answer that I did see on the from one of the visitors that I wanted to answer before I take my quick closing remarks is, well, what do I do now if I'm a potential product manager and I want to implement wireless charging with NFC? How do I do that? What's the first step? Well, the first thing that I would recommend everyone do is look into becoming a member of the NFC Forum. Obviously, if you are a member of the organization, a paying, well, we have several different levels. A non-paying member is the adopter level. That does allow you access to the special interest groups where we talk about use cases. If you want to be involved in the specification development, and if you want to download specifications for free, you become an associate member. It's a very nominal cost based upon the size of your company, so I would encourage you to do that. I will also let everyone know on the call that we do have two times a year, we have an in-person member meeting. The next one will be in June in Stuttgart, so I would also want to invite you to that. And then I would just, the call to action I would ask yourself is, if you have a product that you want to connect with the billions of people that have mobile phones in the world, you probably should be looking at NFC because the other half of the connection is already there. So anyway, so I would certainly want to encourage all of them to everyone to become a member first, and then come to our website and learn more. Next slide, please. I think that's it in terms of wrap. So yeah, so I just want to thank everyone for your time, and of course everyone who joined us virtually. This session will be available on our website if you want to watch it again or pass it on to your colleagues at your organization. And of course, you can find the NFC Forum on all the typical social channels to keep updated on the latest news and information about the group and what we're doing around the contactless lifestyle. I want to thank everyone for your time, and sorry we're ending just about a minute late. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you, everyone.